Guess who's back, baby? Wow, what incredible crazy news has been unveiled this week. A new Gungrave IP is in the works. So, for those of you that don't know, there has been a new Gungrave in the works for quite some time now, titled simply Gungrave VR, and was going to be released for the PlayStation VR later this year. So when I saw that there was a trailer for a new Gungrave, I thought it was just going to be that. But no, we have something completely different that totally blew away my expectations. We have a new mainline Gungrave game announced. The third Gungrave game, titled Gungrave Gore, is going to be released on the PlayStation 4 in winter of 2019. So that could mean a couple of different things. That could mean that either it's going to be released early next year in January, February, or it could be released around December of 2019, which means we'll have to wait a whole another year to be able to play it. There's also currently no known knowledge if it's going to be imported or localized to the US or anywhere else around the world. There's been no talk about a worldwide release as of yet. It's only been announced for Japan, but you bet your ass I'm going to be importing this as soon as it comes out because I'm very, very excited to play it. So for those of you who are not familiar with the pedigree and reputation of the Gungrave series, originally Red Entertainment was tasked with the idea of making a third-person shooter based off of Yasuhiro Naito's masterpiece, Trigun. The game was going to be called Trigun: The Planet Gunsmoke, and was supposed to be released sometime in 2001 for the PS2. This project fell through, of course, and the whole project was scrapped, but Yasuhiro Naito still lended his artistry and his illustrations for character designs for Red Entertainment's third-person shooter that they would later title Gungrave. The game wasn't really received all that well, I'm sure. Maybe it was received better in Japan than it was in the US, but considering the game was a mere 90 minutes long, had kind of clunky controls, and didn't tell a complete story, I'm sure it wasn't received all that well, although I happen to love the game because I love Yasuhiro Naito and the entire Gungrave franchise. Gungrave then got an anime in 2003, which told the backstory of the game and then eventually led up with the last 8 episodes being the plot of the game itself. And again, not a great reception around it. Not a whole lot of people talk about it and praise it to this day, but I think it's fantastic. It's a classic. The animation has not aged very well at all, and the animation suffers a lot from a lot of obvious digital enhancement and digital zooms. But the action is great, the characters are fantastic, and it's a nice slow burn with a deep emotional impact and a huge payoff at the end. It's absolutely worth watching, and I will do a full video on the entire Gungrave series later on when I'm done with my other retrospective series. Gungrave got a sequel game in 2004 called Gungrave Overdose, and this is really the pinnacle of the series. This is the one where that most people praise and appreciate when talking about the series. It was released for the PS2 and had full voice acting, a full story, was a properly long campaign around the 4 to 5 hour mark compared to the original Gungrave's 90 minutes, and was overall received very well. It had enhanced controls, enhanced visuals, the full story, great voice acting, and 3 playable characters to choose from that time around. So in my personal opinion, Gungrave Overdose still holds up well to this day. But I'm sure I'm one of very few that share that consensus, especially if you were to hand somebody a modern gamer Gungrave Overdose right now and ask them to play it, they probably would say it hasn't aged very well. And I think a lot of classic games that have maybe clunkier controls or do not have modern gaming sensibility don't translate that well into this modern era. And it doesn't mean that they were objectively bad or that they have gotten worse with age. It's more so that gamers as a culture and as people have certain expectations for what they think the game should play like, and these older games don't really fall in line with that. So it's similar to the same thing that happened with the Crash Bandicoot collection, where everyone was like, oh yeah, this series is a great, it's fantastic, it's classic, everybody's going to love it, and people bought it and actually played it, and some of them were not really pleased with the results because they didn't play the Crash Bandicoot series as kids. They had no idea what they were getting into. I think the same thing is to be expected with the Spyro trilogy when that comes out. I think the people that played it as kids are going to love it because it is the same game just being redone with better graphics. But the people who have heard about the pedigree of Spyro and buy that collection are probably going to be disappointed when they find out how the games actually play. So this brings the question of how is Gungrave Gore in the PlayStation 4 era in 2019, 15 years after the release of Gungrave Overdose, how is it going to play? My concern, I should say, is that it's going to be the camera is going to be pulled in super tight to the character's back. It's going to be really restrictive. It's going to be that sort of God of War, Horizon Zero Dawn style gameplay that is like your trailer bait style games from every gaming show, E3 lately, and that seems to be the only style of game aside from first person that people are willing to accept. And games like Gungrave or like your action games like Devil May Cry, Bayonetta, the original God of War games have kind of faded out of popularity. They're more so of a niche, even though most people would say that they are objectively good. So what am I hoping for in terms of Overdose? Or I'm sorry, what am I hoping for in terms of Gungrave Gore? I'm hoping for something that has a similar perspective to Overdose, but plays a little bit more like Devil May Cry or like Bayonetta with a lot of flashy moves. If we could have a Gungrave game that maybe plays similar to Vanquish with a third-person lock-on aiming system, but a lot of dynamic movement, that would be awesome. Gungrave has always been a very over-the-top series, so I think that type of over-the-top action will be well-placed and well-deserved. It's also interesting to think about what could be happening in terms of the story. Now, the only thing we've seen right now is a teaser with one clip of this newly rendered version of Grave, which looks amazing. He has the same outfit that he wore in Overdose, except the details, of course, have been enhanced, and his coffin does appear to be upgraded as well. So that's all we know so far, just little lines of text and that one shot of Grave. That's the only thing we have so far about this game. So at this point, it's all speculation. And as you guys know from some of my other videos, I hate speculation. I think it's ridiculous. So I'm not going to say or claim anything that I think for a second is going to be truthful or accurate. But I will say what I would like to see and get some ideas from you guys as what you would like to see as well. So from a storyline perspective, you can do pretty much anything you want with this game as long as you don't ruin, of course, the continuity of what's been established. But Overdose ended pretty open-endedly, and if they wanted to do maybe a 1 year later, 2 years later, that would be totally fine. Or if you wanted to do another time skip where Mika is even more of an adult, maybe Mika could be a playable character this time around. That would be awesome. You also have Juji and Rockabilly, who could come back for this game from Overdose. They kind of just set off on their own path, but they're more than capable of still fighting because they're both still undead, so nothing's going to really stop them there. We could introduce some new playable characters, which would give Yasuhiro Naitao another chance to draw and animate some original characters in his wonderful, striking design that he's become so iconic for. So let me know what you guys think about Gungrave Gore. I will definitely update you guys with more information as the game gets closer to its release, or if we actually get some gameplay footage. In the meantime, definitely go check out the teaser, and I'll see you guys next time.